Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing the conference semifinals of the 2013 NHL Playoffs, and right now we are talking with Joe Duffy from offshoreinsiders.com, one of my favorite returning guests, handicaps all sports, loves the NHL. We're going to talk about the Detroit and Chicago series price right now with him. Joe Duffy, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Peter.
All right, tell us a little bit about yourself and offshoreinsiders.com before we get into a discussion of Detroit-Chicago.
Well, offshoreinsiders.com, as you can see by looking at me, I've got some gray hair, I've got some wrinkles, but I've been doing this my entire adult life. I actually worked for Dial Sports, which was the old 976 score phones while I was in college, and immediately after college started working for the National Score Phones, where shortly thereafter I did a 900 number JD of the ACC. So I've been a professional handicapper since my younger 20s, the score phone days of the mid to late 80s, and I've been betting even before that. But yes, I've been a quote-unquote national name, I guess, since the 1980s, and been a professional handicapper and professional gambler ever since. At offshoreinsiders.com is where my plays are now.
Very, very impressive. Very happy to have you here, as always. All right, let's talk about it. Detroit-Chicago, the latest odds that I've seen on these on this series at Pinnacle is Chicago minus 269, Detroit plus 239, and that's kind of a lot of respect for Detroit, and they kind of earned it, you know. I mean, they got a lot of young guys. They knocked off Anaheim. A lot of people were thinking that Anaheim might be a Stanley Cup finalist here this year, and most importantly, Detroit's kind of playing with not that much pressure because no one expected them to come this far. Chicago, of course, though, obviously, they had by far the biggest goal differential of any team in the NHL this year. Their depth is amazing, and their parts are all gelling, and, you know, I can't really see them losing. I could easily see this one going to 6 or 7 games. Do you think Detroit can pull off the upset here?
Well, they're a live underdog. Obviously, as we remember, the Blackhawks started out the year like they were the Miami Heat of the NHL. They are the best team in the NHL. There's no question about it. If, you know, hypothetically, you were picking, you know, names out of a hat in a pool, of course the Blackhawks would be the team that you would want to get. They are the team that should be the favorites to win the Stanley Cup. But Detroit, don't count them out. I was saying before the Anaheim series that although admittedly I play it a little bit more in college basketball and college football, I still subscribe to that old 90% of the game is half mental, and the Detroit Red Wings, their uniform carries with it some swagger, and that might be one of the reasons, one of the quote-unquote intangibles that helped them come from behind against Anaheim. Now, in all fairness, I did say in that matchup, Detroit was a little more top-heavy, where Anaheim had a little bit more depth, and maybe that, you know, that Detroit would do well early in the series and Anaheim would have the advantage as it went on. That's not quite exactly how the series came out, but Detroit still got some talent. You know, they got Datsuk, who's probably the most exciting player in the NHL. He's one of the best players in the NHL, Zetterberg. They still have some good frontline talent. Chicago's got more depth, but Detroit has some guys that have played and won some big games.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you look at the games they played in the regular season, Chicago did win all 4. One of them was a blowout, but one of them was an overtime win, and 2 of them were shootouts. And I don't think there's any question that, you know, the team that they're going to face in this playoff series is significantly better and more cohesive than what they saw during the regular season. So I'm thinking, you know, Detroit is a live underdog. Maybe if they were like plus 500, plus 600, maybe they take a shot. This is a lot of respect, though. Maybe Chicago's the way to go here at minus 269.
Yeah, Bertuzzi and Samuelson are also back for Detroit. And really, if you want to go back further, Chicago, going back to last year, has won 7 straight. But as you said, only 1 of the 4 games was won in regulation this year. So these teams are pretty evenly matched. I will admit that I have a little bit of an allergy to to chalk, that is, laying 269. Now, I don't have an allergy to talk, that's for sure. But laying 269 is pretty expensive. I'd pass on it, but like I said, I think Detroit is a very live dog here. They've got the experience. Of course, Chicago does as well. They won the Stanley Cup back in 2010. They've been there and done that, and they were unbeatable at the beginning of the year. But don't count Detroit out. I think this series is going to be a little bit better than you do, but we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. I'll tell you this. I'm not counting Detroit out. But at minus 269, I'm taking Chicago here. I think that Chicago takes this one. You know, there will be a couple of games Detroit will win. It might be 5-6, might even go 7. But I think at 269, Chicago has value.
What is almost incredible, and I was kind of surprised when I had read this, but Corey Crawford's played his best against Detroit of any team in the league. He's 11-2-2 lifetime against them, 182 goals against average, and a 943 save percentage. So this is one of those, again, if I were just simply a member of the media and I were predicting who's going to win, of course, it would be the Blackhawks. But when I'm talking about from a gambling standpoint, whether or not I would lay 269, we're going to have to agree to disagree. But no question, if I were just simply some media hack, I would pick Chicago to win the series.
Right. Would I be willing to lay 269? Yes, I would. Yes, I would. I think that Chicago is that legit right now. All right, great preview, Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Thanks.